This podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors. Your San Diego County Toyota dealers. We've got what it takes. Fix Auto. Corky's Pest Control. And Lolita's Family of Restaurants.
Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Laxcast. This is our first playoff edition, so I've decided to go ahead and already hit the playoff beard real hard.
Looks good.
It's also called just working a night job, and sometimes you lose the time to shave. But, Coach, let's talk about this right here. I'm gonna. Can you hold the mic for a second? Because I got to point to this. This says Open Division. It's time for the best of the best to square off.
The big boy bracket.
This is the big boy bracket. They got up this morning. They put on their big boy pants. They go to work. So we're here with playoff analysis, breakdown. We're going to give you a little bit of insight into each game. The way that the bracket's worked out right now, the 1 seed Torrey Pines will take on the number 8 seed Bishops. Then the bottom of the bracket, number 2, La Costa Canyon takes on number 7, SFC. Coronado, number 4, will be taking on Cathedral Catholic, the number 5 seed, and then number 3, Poway, will take on number 6, San Marcos. Coach, let's start at the top and work our way down. Torrey Pines, Bishops. Just give me some breakdown.
They just played, a week ago, and it wasn't really a close game. But I think that in all these games, the rematches, it's never easy to beat a team twice. It's never easy to beat a team 3 times, as we have in another bracket. But Torrey Pines is certainly the favorite, and I watched them play last night. They look strong, and I think it'll be a tough road for Bishops. But it'll be interesting. At least they all know each other really well. They've played together a bunch in the offseason. So
talking about that tough road for Bishops, their primary weapon, Isaiah Dawson, somewhat of a known factor. Beyond that, what's it going to take for Bishops, let's just say in the hypothetical realm of them pulling off this upset? How do you see that upset happening?
Well, Bishop certainly has the talent to score. I think where, with Isaiah and Chase and those guys can put the ball in the net. I think the issue is going to be, can they stop Torrey Pines from scoring? And Torrey's offense is good. It's balanced. It doesn't really go through anyone specifically. It's everyone's putting up 2 or 3 goals a game. And, it's going to be a challenge for the Bishops defense. It's, they've led up, a handful of goals against the better teams, double-digit goals, and to keep Torrey Pines under 15 goals would be a success. So I think that's what they'll focus on doing, is keeping Torrey Pines down, maybe 12 goals or less, and hope that they can put some goals on the board.
Well, you talked about it being a really general approach. We've seen all season long that Torrey, it has the ability to adapt and just flip it up and stop somebody. If you had to say, though, one player that Bishops needs to really isolate and shut down that might give them a chance at holding them to that 12 or less, is there one player you would single out that Bishops really needs to focus on?
Well, I think it comes down almost to face-offs. You have Grant facing off for Torrey Pines. He's one of the best in San Diego, and Bishops doesn't have really a designated face-off guy. And if they can make those ground balls and come up with them, give themselves an extra 6 to 12 possessions that way, then they're going to score. I mean, they have the talent to do that. So I think that comes in a real big factor.
Got to have the ball to score. I mean, it's a pretty simple methodology, if you will. But so that to me seems to be the takeaway, is that it's not a isolate one player. It's not a scheme this way or that way. It's just to get the ball and hold on to it.
Absolutely. And that's how I think that one will play out. I think Bishops needs a handful of possessions. They need to possess the clock a little bit. And, it needs to make it a 50-50 at the face-off circle.
The winner of that game will play the winner of Cathedral Catholic versus Coronado. Coach, this is the 4-5 game. This is the 2 teams that hypothetically are the most evenly matched in this whole bracket. Give me your reaction.
Well, I mean, these guys, they're league rivals. They've played twice this year. Coronado's come out on top both times. I think the 2 games that Cathedral would like back. I know years back, I think Coronado beat Cathedral that 3rd time, and that 3rd time's always the tough one. So I expect a more spirited game than the last one when Coronado beat them at Cathedral. But I think, that comes down to there'll be a lot of shots. Goaltending will be big with Coronado, I think, has the edge. And, I think it's going to be a matter of them taking a look at the first 2 games and seeing what team will change and play with more emotion and come up with ground balls and do all little things it takes to win.
You talk about it is really difficult to beat a team once at the varsity level, let alone twice, let alone 3 times in a season. And we saw early on in the season when these two teams met, because unlike a lot of these other leagues where it happens, both games will be late in the season. One was very early on in the year for them, one was late in the year. The first game, 87 shots between the two teams being taken. I know that that's kind of an anomalously high number, but I think you really hit on it where goaltending is going to be huge. How does one team find the edge in there? How do they take a little bit of pressure off of that goalkeeper and sort of, put the momentum in their favor?
Well, I mean, I think when you really gotta, there's a lot of things you gotta do well. But again, you gotta compete at the face-off circle. You have to clear the ball well. Both teams need to not give up really uncontended shots. And I know over the past couple of games, there's a few players that have put up some pretty big points, and both teams focus on stopping those guys. And you really just can't leave them out to dry in transition. You got to make it be a 6-on-6 game, and that'll be the key for both teams, is who makes each other play 6-on-6 more will probably have more success.
This one to me almost has the makings of kind of one of those heavyweight fights where you go out early and you're not throwing the haymaker yet. You're going to control the ball. You're going to slow it down a little bit. I feel like this one will be low scoring first half, and then all of a sudden the second half's going to explode as finally they're like, okay, season's on the line, got to make some shots.
Yeah, that's how I would anticipate it too. And I think that that the first game didn't go that way at all. It was like 11-11 at halftime or something like that. So I think, and then the next game was a little slower. I expect this one to be definitely closer to the vest.
Let's move down to the bottom half of that bracket. Poway going to take on San Marcos. Poway, last year's defending Open Division champions, are coming in at the 3 seed now. They're going to take on, if you will, the newcomer to the. They've got a couple new teams into the Open Division bracket this year, but San Marcos, one of them. Is Poway rolling here? Is this just another Poway gearing up for an appearance in the finals, or does San Marcos have a chance?
Well, I mean, every team always has a chance. I obviously think Poway is the favorite in this game. I think, they came off a big win over Cathedral, I think by, 15-4 or something like that this past week. So they're obviously playing well. They're making a statement in that game. And then I think, as always this time of year, this is where Poway and Burke gets those guys going. And they last year, they really weren't favored to win the title, and they ended up, beating Torrey Pines in the final. So you just never know with these guys. They play together for a long time. They play youth lacrosse together. They got a blue-collar work ethic, and Poway's going to be really tough to beat. And San Marcos is the new team. They know each other pretty well, but I just, San Marcos is going to have to prove themselves right off the bat in the first round.
Big part of San Marcos' offense is going to be Kai Moy. He's really their facilitator. He got great ball handling skills, but the question becomes, can he find enough open people? Can he find people to get the ball to who can then in turn score? Because this Poway defense and goaltending is unbelievable. And like you hit on something really interesting, that Poway sort of has those intangibles. Coach Burke gets them in that mindset every year where they understand that every single moment in a playoff game is the biggest moment of their season.
Yeah, and Poway plays good defensively. They got really good goaltending, I think it just can't be one person for San Marcos. It's going to have to be a team effort to score, let alone be in that game and win that game. And again, Poway runs it good. They got Nick Beeson on offense, and he's the leading goal scorer in all Poway history. He overtook Jake O'Donnell, who's playing at Drexel now. He's a good player, and they're going to have to stop him along with 5 other guys on offense who can all score. So I anticipate Poway being strong in that game.
But all that being said, that's why you get out there and actually play the game, because things like that could happen. Last game in the Open Division, but certainly not least, Santa Fe Christian, the defending D1 champions, and of course you know that, they are moving up now into Open, and you're playing La Costa Canyon, the number 2 seed. I'll start on this one because I'm sure that you are full of opinions that you don't want to give out so that you could hold them close to the vest. All season long, we've seen LCC kind of nipping at Torrey's heels to be that one team, but they did lose to Torrey, and so they rightfully fall in that 2 spot. Yep. But they're a 2 spot with a really efficient, hardworking offense. They've got some underclassmen that can already deliver big moments. On the flip side, Santa Fe Christian, Hank Conaveros is going to be really the big, workhorse, if you will. It seems to me, though, like with both of these teams, it comes back to what we started all this with: ball control. Who can win at that X? Who can come out with the ball? Who can get good shots?
Yeah, I mean, LCC is a great team. They're athletic. They're well coached. It's certainly a big challenge for us, and that's what we were up for this year. After winning the championship last year, we wanted this type of challenge. We scheduled that way. It's ball control. The nice thing about this game is a lot of these guys played together in youth lacrosse. Hank and the players from LCC. So I think there'll be a nice little rivalry, and these guys are going to compete, and they're excited. We've never played them, at least in my time. So I think it'll be a fun game, and regardless of the outcome, I think our guys are really excited to play and be competing against, certainly one of the best teams in the state.
Absolutely, but that is why you play it, because you have a chance to stamp yourself potentially as one of the best teams in the state if you can win one of these games in the Open Division. All of these games will be going on the 13th. Looks like all of them are at 7 p.m. at the home site, so that'll be at Torrey Pines, at Coronado, at Poway, at LCC. A little bit of everywhere. You can go check them out. Coach, we will let you go start cracking the whip and getting everyone ready to go. Follow us along. We'll have highlights of all the games, and we will be back on the 14th to talk about all of this after the dust settles. Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.